Settle in, get comfortable, and let the worries of the day drift away. Tonight, we're not just telling stories. We're traveling back in time on a gentle current of words to an age of shadows and whispers, the Middle Ages, a time when the line between what was real and what was imagined was as faint as smoke in the twilight. We often think of this era as a storybook filled with fire breathing dragons, powerful wizards, and saintly miracles. But what if I told you that many of these fantastical tales were not just flights of fancy? What if they were echoes of real events, real people, and very real fears? Join me as we peel back the layers of legend to find the surprising truths hidden beneath. In this calm and quiet space, we will explore a world where faith and superstition were woven into the very fabric of daily life. The stories people told weren't just for entertainment, they were a way to understand a world that was often frightening and inexplicable. They were how people made sense of sudden illness, strange natural phenomena, and the darkness that fell outside their door each night. We'll begin our journey by looking at the creatures that haunted the medieval imagination. Take, for instance, the dragon, a terrifying fire-breathing beast hoarding treasure in a deep cavern. It sounds like pure fantasy, doesn't it? But the idea of dragons didn't come from nowhere. Imagine a medieval farmer tilling his field and unearthing the enormous fossilized bones of a dinosaur with no knowledge of paleontology. What could he possibly conclude? He saw the remains of a monstrous reptilian creature unlike anything he had ever seen. The stories wrote themselves. These giant bones, found across Europe and Asia, became the physical proof of dragons, powerful beings that once roamed the earth. The tales were then embellished with local folklore, stories of serpents, and the very real danger of fire, creating the iconic monster we know today. And what about the other denizens of the night? Vampires and werewolves. These weren't just characters in spooky stories told around the fire. They were explanations for real-world tragedies. In a time before modern medicine, diseases like porphyria, which can cause severe sensitivity to sunlight, reddish teeth, and facial disfigurement, could make a person appear monstrous. Or consider rabies, a terrifying disease that could cause aggressive behavior, foaming at the mouth, and a fear of water. To a frightened villager, a person suffering from such an ailment could easily be mistaken for something inhuman, a creature of the night, cursed to prey on the living. Accusations of vampirism often arose from a misunderstanding of how bodies decompose, leading people to believe the dead were returning from their graves. But it wasn't all monsters and fear. The medieval world was also a place of profound faith and wonder, filled with tales of miracles. Monks and scribes meticulously recorded stories of saints healing the sick, springs with curative powers, and divine visions. While faith was central to these accounts, many so-called miracles had surprisingly earthly origins. For example, a weeping statue might have been the result of simple condensation or a natural resin seeping from the wood in humid weather. A miraculous healing at a sacred shrine could be attributed to the placebo effect, or the simple fact that the clean water and rest provided at a pilgrimage site were better than the unsanitary conditions at home. These weren't necessarily deceptions. In a world where God's hand was seen in everything, a natural event could be interpreted as a divine sign. As we continue to explore, we'll see how these myths weren't just stories, but forces that shaped society. Fear of witches, for instance, wasn't just a superstition. It led to real laws, real trials, and real persecution, often targeting the most vulnerable members of society, the elderly, the poor, and women who lived outside of social norms. Belief in omens and portents could influence a king's decision to go to war or a farmer's choice of when to plant his crops. The celestial heavens weren't just a collection of stars. They were a map of destiny, read and interpreted by astrologers who advised the powerful. The medieval mind was a landscape where the supernatural was natural, where belief could be as powerful as any sword or stone. Tonight, let this journey into the past be a gentle one. There is nothing to fear here. We are simply observers, listening to the echoes of a world long gone. a world where truth was often stranger than fiction and where the most unbelievable stories held a kernel of reality. So let your mind quiet down. Let the rhythm of the story be a soft blanket, easing your thoughts and carrying you toward a place of deep and peaceful rest. Let the mysteries of the Middle Ages become a soothing lullaby, a fascinating dreamscape to wander through as you drift off to sleep. There is much more to uncover, many more secrets to whisper. Just close your eyes, breathe, and listen. The story is just beginning.